Thank you for the invitation to speak on this panel. The first three speakers have talked about the rights-based approach to reconstruction and the centrality of the UN in this process. And I was going to speak about what kind of post-conflict reconstruction plans and post-governance plans we've seen mushroom over the past year. Barely a month goes by, but there is another one launched. And they're all very, very similar in that they deny and block the right of Palestinians to self-determination and sovereignty. And that's the most important thing that we need to emphasize. But I think that the events of the last few days means that we've gone beyond this. And I don't want to replicate what others have said. So I'm going to focus my comments on two main issues. The first is that we need to be direct in our analysis and strategy. We cannot go back to a situation of business as usual. This is a crossroads. We're now in a new era. What the wider world does now is crucial for peace and justice between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea and for the wider Middle East. We've all watched how over the past 3 to 4 days, President Donald Trump has announced the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians from Gaza and that the United States will take over the Gaza Strip. And Saeed talked about this extensively. We've also seen how Trump has told Jordan and Egypt that they must take in Palestinians from Gaza. And we know that he's going to try to force this to happen. We all know that this is a violation of international law. It's a violation of the UN Charter, and it's a violation of the rights of Palestinians. Now, Israel's war in Gaza forced a series of huge shifts. We've seen a collapse of past assumptions, particularly the viability of a two-state solution, and the past 30 years of the type of non-sovereign Palestinian self-governance that was created by the Oslo Accords. It's clear to Palestinians and their allies a very long time ago that Israel was never going to allow a sovereign Palestinian state to emerge. But that's another topic for another discussion. Previous speakers have also mentioned this. But now it's explicit that Israel will not allow Palestinian self-determination. And this is a violation of the right of Palestinians and a violation of natural justice. But this is not just about the Gaza Strip being destroyed. It's not just about 50,000 Palestinians brutally killed and many, many more buried still under the rubble. This is also about the West Bank, including East Jerusalem. Over the past week or so, we've seen 40,000 Palestinians being displaced from their homes in the West Bank through military violence by Israel and by the violence of Israeli settlers. And today, we saw Israeli settlers storm Al-Aqsa compound in the Old City. So to pretend or just to focus on Gaza is not the right way to do this. We cannot just talk about relief and reconstruction while this is going on. The only future Israel is offering to Palestinians is to continue to live under its apartheid rule without rights, and this is unacceptable. If the UN and its member states do not stand up against this and against Donald Trump's plans for Gaza, then they are showing not only that they're morally bankrupt, but that they do not care about people in the Middle East. Furthermore, young people in the West will see that democratic protest is not enough to change their state's policies. What kind of message is this sending? Now, I'm under no illusions that Western states, and particularly the EU, are willing to do what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, because we need to make demands on our elites. And because part of this discussion is about the responsibility of Western states and the role of the UN. So the second point I want to make is that all states should join the Hague Group, which was formed just under 2 weeks ago. Now, this is significant because, of course, creating it in The Hague is that this is the seat of the UN's Court of Justice and the place where the laws of war were created. On the 31st of January, 9 countries formed the Hague Group, dedicated to coordinating legal, economic and diplomatic measures against Israel to make it comply with international law and UN resolutions. Now, these 9 countries are Belize, Bolivia, Cuba, Colombia, Honduras, Malaysia, Namibia, Senegal, and South Africa. Now, these 9 countries have formed this coalition and they need more powerful states to join them. If Western states, particularly in Europe, are serious about defending the UN Charter and supporting the rights of Palestinians to self-determination, they must join this initiative. All states must join it. Together, such a coalition could stand against Israel and the United States' plans for Palestine. Together, such a coalition could push the tide at the UN to stand up for the principles embedded in the UN Charter. The UN can only do what states push it to do and support it to do. Now, I'm not going to hold my breath that this will happen. I think it's more likely that civil society action around the Palestinian boycott, divestment and sanctions movement will grow and grow, but we need to make demands of our politicians. Talking about food trucks for Gaza and who will rule over Gaza is only one part of the wider issue of how to support Palestinian rights and defend their right to self-determination. So I would make the demand that, that states join the Hague Group. This is one route to support the UN in defending the right of Palestinians to self-determination. I'll leave it there now because it's time constraints. Thank you.